Welcome back to Talkville, the ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast, where every episode, Ryan, Tom, and myself, we go back, we go way back, we rewatch every episode, all of them mostly I haven't seen. It's a real treat. We're in season 5 now, episode 3. I got to say, it's a good start. It's a good start, and I want to thank you, all the patrons out there who really support this podcast, and without you, we couldn't do this show. So if you want to see more seasons, become a patron, support the show. If you want to give back a little, that would be great. Patreon.com/Talkville. And there's so many perks like being a guest on the show and a whole bunch of other things and forums and friends. And it's really fantastic. And so patreon.com/Talkville. If you didn't get a chance to call in our hotline and leave a question for this episode, make sure you do so for future ones. All that and the info and more are down in the show's description. Our handles at Talkville Pod or at Talkville Podcast. Don't forget that also talkvillepodcast.com, awesome merch. You could also get some Superman stuff on the Inside of You online store. That's my podcast, Inside of You. Make sure you're listening to that too, damn it, please. I mean, come on, support me. Subscribe. Tom's been on. Everybody from Star Trek and Smallville and Keanu, and just so you got to listen to that. But
I was recently at a con where people were like, "Oh yeah, we love Smallville." I'm like, "Do you know about the podcast?" And it was like 10 people were like, "Yeah, Inside of You," and I was like, "No, the Talkville one." They're like, "We've never heard of this."
Are you serious?
Yeah, like people knew of your show but didn't know of our show, and I informed them.
Well, hopefully all you guys will
listen
listen Inside of You too, because I have a lot of great guests. We talk about mental health and life and adversity and career and stuff. So, and go to the Inside of You online store for merch. If you go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum, in my link tree, you'll see cameos. You'll see the cons that Tom and I are going to. We're doing a Talkville, a Smallville con in New Jersey. It's the first one ever. Creation is putting it up. Get tickets now. A lot of the cast are going, trying to get some guest stars as well. And we're going to do a Smallville Nights, me and Tom. Hopefully it'll be a blockbuster and be tons of people there, and we'll make it a big show. And so much more. So please continue everything. And I do want to say one thing today. Our lovable, wonderful, can't do without him, Bryce. He is our producer, and he and his wife, Logan, had 2 beautiful twins. They were born last week, and I just want to say, Bryce, how do you feel?
Doing pretty good. I'm still here.
Are you tired?
Yeah, my new routine is waking up at 3 a.m. right now. So,
oh my God, I could hear it in your voice.
Middle of the day.
I got 2 words for you: red and bull. Or some coffee or something. Jeez Louise. But congrats, man. That's awesome. And look, without further ado, let's get into season 5, episode 3. This is Hidden. Title Hidden. Aired October 13th, 2005. Director Whitney Rancic. He was a sweet guy. Second episode also did Spirit in season 4. Writers Kelly Souders and Brian Peterson, who we love. Guest star Johnny Lewis as Gabriel Duncan. He was in Sons of Anarchy. Camille Mitchell as Sheriff Nancy Adams.
Oh, really?
And Bud the dog as Shelby. Synopsis. When a murderous Mark Zuckerberg enacts revenge on Smallville for his own greater good, Clark reaches the breaking point of his mortal abilities and learns the consequences of doing so.
Like Sunspin.
That's my band.
That's right. This week's episode begins down the barrel of a gun. That's one of your song titles.
It is.
As Gabriel, a former Smallville High student, takes over some sort of missile launch site. He kills the 2 guards on duty, sets the launch for 1 hour, and then calls Chloe to warn her that Smallville is yet again in the line of fire. DEFCON 1.
Yeah, but how, if you have a missile silo in Smallville, they have to be in constant contact. If the guards aren't talking, they're going to send somebody over there. I mean, that's a big suspension of disbelief. And the fact that Smallville has this missile silo. I'm not.
No, what's cool is I looked this up because I was like, yeah, there's no way there would be missile silos after the Cold War, but like there are some decommissioned ones in Kansas, so it's a real thing.
Wow, you really looked that up.
I really Googled it.
All right, well, I'll suck it up. Over at the Kent farm, Clark and Lana wake up in bed together after a long night of gland-to-gland combat. They try to sneak out before his parents notice. However, Jonathan and Martha catch them red-handed and then begin the good cop, bad cop routine. It's under our roof.
Oh, good. One of my favorite parts is when Lana leaves and Clark moves past Jonathan and he kind of like flinches a little bit. like Jonathan's gonna hit him. I don't know if you
Yeah,
noticed
Jonathan looked really pissed off in this scene. It was pretty funny. But
Yeah.
I like how Mrs. Kent was kind of supportive and like, you know, you guys have known each other for a long time, and I don't care if you bang, sort of feel to it. So that was good.
I know Clark's reaction was like, this is what you guys wanted this. I've been hemming and hawing about this for years. Now it finally happened and you're mad at me? It's like, come on.
Yeah, I got to get some action every once in a while.
Yeah.
Come on, I finally waited till I'm 18 to do it.
It's like this
And it's someone I love.
we wanted this.
It's not just a rando Calrissian.
Did I get it wrong?
Chloe interrupts the fun family discussion to let them know that Gabriel has put a hit on the town of Smallville. Jonathan tells her to go to the police, but Chloe says she's overstayed her welcome with the sheriff. So Jonathan goes to pay a visit himself. Lana heads home to the Talon Loft and appropriately responds to a surprise as Lex Luthor is waiting inside her apartment. If trespassing wasn't creepy enough, he's also going through her belongings because, well, he's concerned. I didn't write this stuff. I just do what they tell me. What's the angle here? He knows she's not crazy because he saw some aliens and ended up taking the spaceship away, right? So, yeah, it was kind of weird, but Lex is kind of getting dark. This episode and the next one, he's showing a dark side. So it's like, all right, what's going on here?
This episode and the next episode really shine a light on how lonely Lex is. You're only surrounded by people who work for you and people you're taking things from. Like, you don't have any friends at all. It just dawned on me in this episode and the next how lonely Lex really is.
For the second time in about 4 episodes, a military convoy is making its way through Smallville for a routine drill at a nearby missile silo. Jonathan makes his way there to speak to the sheriff. However, she tries to play things cool. The sheriff leaves to go lead a team of officers in a raid of a nearby missile launch site. However, they've been duped. There are dozens of possibilities of where Gabriel could be located, and they are running out of time.
Clark and Chloe take things into their own hands and head to Gabriel's home, and they find confidential military documents, a papier-mâché wall of weird in his room, and his dead father on the floor.
Bum, bum.
As they leave the murder site, Clark and Chloe begin to wonder where in the world Gabriel is and why he trusted Chloe. They crack a plan to lure Gabriel out of the missile site in order to save a damsel in distress.
Lex heads back to Luthor Corp to learn that his team has tried everything to open the spaceship, but is still unsuccessful. He tells them to figure it out or you're fired. Before he goes, he bends down to admire the new tramp stamp imprinted on underneath the ship.
What's that? Oh, yeah, we didn't see that an hour ago.
No?
Luckily, you looked at it, Lex. But, you move on.
Lex leaves to take his work frustrations out on his crippled father. He enters the padded room and begins tossing him around, asking what the symbols mean. Lionel tells Lex that they will never open it. Only he can open it.
Who's he? The chosen one?
He, yeah. The Messiah?
No,
So now Lex caring about his father's recovery makes sense.
Oh, yeah. He needs him to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little confused at what happens, but we'll get to that. Back in Smallville, Gabriel pulls up to save Chloe, but before they can get more information, Clark immediately yells out that the jig is up. In response, Gabriel whips out and gives Clark a belly full of lead. That was crazy.
That was a horrible plan. Hey, let's lure him here, and then and then no plan.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's dangerous.
I also hated the performance. Like, Clark just steps out like, hey, buddy, you can't do this. Right out in the open. I guess we didn't know he had a gun. Oh, we did, but Clark and Chloe didn't know he had a gun. That was a surprise.
Yeah, but I guess, it didn't bother me when you said, hey, let's talk about this. What are you doing here? And then he just immediately shoots you and you're like, holy crap. That shocked me. Ryan, were you shocked when he got shot?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, he's bleeding and he's dying. And I know that obviously he can't die, but for a moment there, I was like, oh my God, this is tragic. Do you remember your decisions or difficulties, Tom, in the first few episodes of having to play a normal person who actually gets fatigued and injured?
I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I know that when Clark has his abilities, I don't think I ever played him going into a situation knowing he was going to use them. It was always more reactionary. He wanted people to stop what they were doing and try to talk them out of it.
Right.
He never went in with an intention a lot of times of using them. So I guess if anything, this situation, Clark he's pretty bold walking out there being like, hey, buddy, stop messing with everybody.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot for it.
I love how he's like, yeah, he's got this bravado, and then boom, he's shot.
Yeah. So
it's like an Indiana Jones moment. Continuing his murder spree, Gabriel brings Chloe back to the launch site. He turns a few knobs, tells Chloe that this plan is preventative to stop any more meteor freaks from emerging after the recent shower. Not only that, but it turns out Gabriel's father was the one who created the unhinged wall of weird. This has got to be the 4th or 5th murderous psycho that takes a liking to Chloe in this series. She has a type. I didn't even know she liked this guy. And it's like, all of a sudden we're meeting this guy. Do you remember him? Is this just a new guy?
I think he's older, right? He's an older character. We know he's Lex's age.
Yeah. Clark gets rushed to Smallville Medical, and Jonathan and Martha get notified that not only was his cherry pop, but his lung might be as well.
Boom.
Lana shows up to pay a visit, but as she shares some loving words, Clark begins to go unresponsive. They unsuccessfully defibrillate him back to life, and in doing so, Lionel suddenly loses his catatonic state and inhibits new powers. What the F? You know, I couldn't believe how dramatic and emotional and impactful Lana was in this scene. Kristen, she really turned it up, and I felt it. It wasn't just like, oh my God. She was like really
frozen.
Like, oh my God, I'm losing him. And I felt like it built, and it was really good. It's really good. You guys feel that?
Yeah, I mean, she nails it. I mean, to the point where like it breaks your heart to see her cry. You know, she does a great job.
As the doctor goes to notify Martha and Jonathan, a nurse informs her that the Kent boy is missing. And did you see Annette's response? When she's like, she's Lana without her saying anything, she just gets all emotional. It was really good. Within 2 minutes to spare, Chloe makes a final attempt to knock out Gabriel and stop the launch, but it's too late, and she can only stand by and watch the missile lift off. Not only that, but in the middle of her scuffle with Gabriel, she's able to shoot him with his own gun. At this point, all the kids of Smallville have now murdered someone. I like the blood splattering on the glass. That was cool.
Oh yeah, that was new, and that felt like pretty. That felt violent for network, but I guess 24 had already been on at this point. So.
Yeah, I wanted to see her like kind of for just a second close up of her going, like, what did I do?
Huh.
But it's all right.
Clark regains consciousness in his fortress of solitude as he is greeted by Lionel Luthor, whose body is being inhabited by Jor-El himself. Luckily, Lionel's body was waiting as a vessel to be used if ever necessary. He tells Kal-El that his mortal journey is over and that he must go back to being a Superboy. However, there's a catch. Someone else must die for him to return.
Was there a Terrence Stamp accent that was being used here? There was something different about the way that John spoke. Yeah?
John was doing an English accent.
It was a subtle one, but it worked. I got used to it, and I was like, okay, this kind of works. He kind of sounded like Jor-El a little bit.
I feel like he loved doing that so much.
Oh, yeah. He milked it.
I feel like that. He was like, finally.
I wish he would have done more like, listen, my son, this is the only way you'll be. But it was good. He did a great job.
John is a theater guy. He's influenced by British actors.
He did a great job.
And he got to milk it. It was awesome. It's great.
How far in advance were you made aware that Jonathan was being killed off? I don't think any of us knew. Any of us knew till the end. Right, Tom?
I had learned over the course of seasons that Jonathan Kent's character has to die at some point. But I never knew when, not even till the episode.
I remember John not being happy about it, but who would be happy being killed off?
No, it's part of the origin story.
It is. Clark leaves his fortress and supersedes back into town. He leaps under the flying missile and dismantles the warhead before it can make its way back to Smallville. I thought this was incredible. It was just really exciting, and like I didn't think they'd go that far, and it kept going and going. It wasn't just a quick fix. It was riding this missile and watching it kind of break in half, and then it was just like there was nice touch to it, nice touches. It just was expensive.
It kept going. Yeah, it just kept going.
And remember, they
like
do these
in space. Like
and they do these effects like in 2 weeks. They don't even have time. So the fact that they did all this was pretty awesome.
Was a lot of fans in your face, Tom? Is that how they film it?
It's funny between this and the underwater fight in the next episode in Aquaman. I'm surprised they don't really remember doing it, but I do kind of remember the idea of how does he get onto it and then move, and the idea of like slamming his hands into the missile to climb up. I do remember being like a part of that discussion. Like, yeah, that's how he would do it. Otherwise, he's just like shimmying up like a palm tree.
And you had the ship there, right? They had a missile that they made.
Yeah, in a big green screen. Yeah, but you never know. You got to trust the people behind the camera. A lot of wind machines. You trust your stunt double who's saying, this would look better if you feel it when you pull down and lift yourself up. Just don't like slap your hands on there. Pull yourself, use your shoulder, like all those physicality things. It's a team effort and a lot of trust in what people are seeing you do, because you can't see yourself.
It seemed like it probably took a day to do that.
Probably, yeah.
Talkville is brought to you by AG1. We talk about this so much on this podcast, and it's because this is a product that just truly works for me and Tom and so many people out there who have tried it. I can't stand the thought of the old ways of just taking all these pills every morning, these vitamins, these supplements to get everything you really need. And to me, with AG1, you just put the ingredients in and stir water. It's water and the ingredients, and you stir it and you drink it, and it tastes good and you feel great, and it gives me motivation, it gives me focus, it gives me energy. This should be into your daily routine.
Well, and also like when I used to take a bunch of different vitamins, I'd have to like piece them out, and I had to think about what I ate before because they would hurt my stomach. I can drink AG1 on an empty stomach. I don't know about you, but I like
absolutely.
It. And I especially like it when I do travel, because then I'm not eating the normal things that I have, but I know that I have that as a baseline to start the day.
Yeah. Look, each serving of AG1 helps deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more. And I'll tell you, with my stomach, the older I get, I like to have pro and prebiotics. They certainly work for your gut support. And having that in there, it's all in this one drink that's so easy to do. It's a powerful habit that's also simply powerful. It's powerfully simple is what it is. It's pretty unbelievable, and it's a quality product.
Healthy aging shouldn't feel complicated. The thought of taking multiple supplements, mixing and matching pills and powders, kind of like I said, sounds exhausting, and it is. But just one daily scoop of AG1 helps cover my nutrient gaps and supports my mental and physical health without a lot of hassle. It's just 60 seconds every morning. I know I'm giving my body what it needs and setting up sustainable habits for the long run.
If there's one product we had to recommend to elevate your health, it is AG1, and that's why we've partnered with them for so long. So if you want to take ownership of your health, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/talkville. That's drinkag1.com/talkville. Check it out. Back on the ground, Jonathan and Martha are making frantic calls about their missing dead boy, when all of a sudden, speaking of the devil, he walks inside with tattered clothing. Clark tells him about his powers returning, and Jonathan unknowingly foreshadows talking about sacrifices for the ones you love. Shortly after, Lana enters the home and runs into Clark's arms, confused by his appearance, but glad that he is indeed not dead.
It was kind of funny how tattered he was.
Rat-a-tattered.
Yeah.
It was distinct. It was, I don't know, it was fun.
You know what I really liked is the slow shot at the end of the scene with Clark and Lana as it pulls back. Clark is holding Lana up in the air. And I thought we've never done that before.
Yeah.
It's usually Clark leaning down and hugging her, embracing her. And I just thought it was a nice touch. And then you come up to the scene that, again, reminds us all how lonely Lex is.
Again with the lonely Lex.
Lana leaves the Kents and heads to Luthor Mansion. Lex greets her and starts talking about Clark's resurrection. Lex astutely points out that the confidential file that Lana is holding is actually confidential, as she uses Clark's medical records to prove that he is normal. Yeah, she shouldn't have that.
Yeah.
Lex doesn't buy it and says that regardless, a normal person just doesn't rise from the dead. Even though a couple seasons ago, someone did rise up from the dead at Smallville Medical in the episode Resurrection.
After Lana leaves, Lionel Luthor walks back into the mansion to greet his son. Lex asks him about his Kryptonian ramblings, but Lionel either plays dumb to knowing or has zero recollection of the catatonic happenings. The episode ends with Chloe consoling Clark for being super again in his loft. Despite her being sad that their mortal Hardy Boys adventures are likely over, Chloe urges Clark to share his secret with Lana, but he's unwilling to take that risk on account of him killing her parents and all.
So let me just go back a second. That Lionel Lex scene where he uncovers the corkscrew thing in the ground, that's a tough scene. Like, I'm watching it. There's a lot of weird stuff going on that you're trying to talk about, and you're both dodging each other. That's a tough scene. And in the end, you go, well, maybe it's a good thing you're back. I was like, you guys went all over around the world in that scene, for sure.
It was tough. It was like, what are you believing? What are you not believing? What does he know? What he doesn't? It's like tiptoeing around, playing a lot of angles. And I enjoyed it, but it was I could see how you thought that.
Exhausting.
Some of those scenes were difficult.
The end of this episode, there's like two big, like Lionel escapes from the insane asylum. Clark died in the hospital but is alive. And then there's like no follow-up of like, oh, the hospital, how are you living? And the insane asylum's like, oh, he's out. He's
Hey, this is
sane
Smallville
again.
Medical. We'd like to get an update on how you're doing. You just were dead. If you could just give us a call
also,
back.
Also when like Lana sees Clark at the Kent house and she gives him the hug and they like, what was the next conversation? Like, Clark, what happened to your jacket? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah, she's got to ask him, what happened? Where did you go? You were dead. I saw you. And think about the excuse you can make. I guess you could say something along the lines of, I don't know, somebody brought me out of the facility. They kidnapped me and they put some syringe in me and it somehow gave me life again. And then I
spontaneously combusted, and now here we are.
I don't know. What do you freaking say?
It
about
is funny
that?
he outfit changed too, because he got shot in like a white t-shirt and then he's in like a super costume to save the day.
A
and
super
come back
costume. Closing thoughts. Seems like Lana Clark, will they, won't they, will quickly be coming to a won't they now that he has his superpowers back. Do we believe Lionel really doesn't remember anything from this catatonic state?
No.
I like to think he does.
He does.
You think? No, I like to think he doesn't. I think he's just like, he doesn't remember anything, or he would know a lot of the truths, I believe. You can't have him remember the stuff. I think he's just a vessel.
I don't think he remembers because also like, what's he waiting for now? Like, what's Lionel really? I can see why Lex is waiting to maybe make his move, but Lionel, what's he waiting for? He already knows some stuff.
Lionel, what are you waiting for?
Lionel.
What are you waiting for, Lionel? It's time. Do your thing. Interesting things of note. The house used as Gabriel and Colonel Duncan's home is the same house used as Rachel Dunleavy's home in season 2's Lineage. How'd
you find that out?
I don't know. Bryce finds out shit that no one cares about. When Jor-El appears in the body of Lionel, his pose is similar to the one employed by Jor-El in Superman the movie 78. Clark dying and his body suddenly disappearing after he's pronounced dead resembles a scene of the same nature in the film Superman Returns. The guest star Johnny Lewis probably has the most tragic story of anyone who was ever on the show. He killed his landlady and then fell off a roof and died while escaping.
Jesus.
Wait, what?
Wait, who?
Did you guys not know that?
The
guest
actor
star.
who played Gabriel.
What?
That is wildly
He
messed
killed
up.
his landlady and then fell off a
In
roof and died?
2012. Yeah.
Wait, the lead guy?
Yeah.
I thought he was in Sons of Anarchy.
It must have been after.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or before.
I feel
Oh,
bad
yeah.
for the landlady.
God.
That's tragic. All right.
Funny, that's very tragic. Sorry.
Zach, welcome to the show, my friend. You have tons of Smallville and other merch behind you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered changing your name to More Zach?
You know, my first Gmail email was more on Zach because I thought it was clever, but I got a lot of feedback for that, so I'm sticking with the way it is.
I like it. I like it. So, dude, you've been watching season 5.
I have.
I know you've probably seen. How many times have you seen the show completely?
A few times probably. Not as many as you might think, but a few. There's a lot of episodes. It's hard to go through them all.
Let's call it
start to
3 or
finish.
4 times.
Yeah, definitely, at least.
Wow.
First of all, what is your favorite season?
You know, I gotta say, when I was watching the show when it was on the air, I would have said season 5 was my favorite season.
That, the creators say
Season 5, we were basically up against it with the network. We thought it was our last chance, and we went out guns blazing. And that's the reason we got to 10. It was 5.
And I'd have to, so far, season 5 is starting out pretty strong. So let's see where it goes.
Yeah, it starts off super strong. You guys got the 100th episode coming up. There's so many milestones this season. It's a real great season. I mean, it's hard to, like, in retrospect now, all these years later, what's my favorite season? It's hard to say. I like 3. I like 9 a lot. 5 is
Wait
up
a minute.
there,
How do you
but
like 9? I wasn't in it. How dare you, Zach?
I look forward to you watching that eventually on the podcast.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a these
gonna be the
patrons
worst.
came to Washington State where I was this weekend, and they were like,
Mhm.
we want to keep watching the show, but you're so negative about certain things. And I'm like,
Mhm.
What do you want us to all just be roses and, what do you want? You want us all to just be like, we love everything we love. We were like, it's fun to have 3 different personalities.
As harsh as you may come off talking about stuff, your actual ratings aren't that bad. I mean, people forget you get 3 bombs, you got a heater, you got 3 roses. Most of the episodes end up in the roses. So
I'm pretty fair, man.
I agree with all of that. And I think it's really fun when we talk to people who've seen the whole series 3 or 4 times. And on the podcast, we're watching Michael struggle through the first time ever seeing this show.
Yeah, but again, the struggles come with adoration too, and ups and peaks and valleys. And so, let me ask you this: what do you like about episode 3, Hidden?
Man, this is just a great episode. This is one of those get up off your couch and cheer moments, like when Clark gets his powers back and he super speeds out and he sees the missile going up and he leaps and catches the missile. Like, that was incredible stuff. I think this is. And again, this is Smallville, right? It's not a Superman show yet, but he's almost flying here and he's catching this in space. I mean, this is epic stuff. So more than anything else, that's what stuck out to me.
But Zach, if he could do that, wouldn't you spend time on the farm continuing to do that until maybe something else happens? It's like he does it. He's like, holy crap, I just jumped onto a space shuttle, a missile, and then I don't ever try that.
Something.
Dad, I jumped about 500 feet in the air. I wonder if I keep doing that, maybe something else will develop.
It is true. And I think, the show, probably a victim of its own success. You do these awesome things and like, oh, wait, you can't be Superman yet. So you can't fly yet. And they got to put that back in the box. Because you were like floating in like the second episode, like in a dream, like, oh, that's cool. But then they never go back to that really for a long time. But I think, there's the show gets a lot of flack sometimes from people saying like, oh, he doesn't fly yet. And, as a fan, you have your explanations. And I do think Smallville did a good job over the course of the show. They had this whole angle where like Clark had this mental block where he can't fly, like he's afraid of heights, or once you start flying, that's like, okay, you're really not a human now. So that's how I see it.
He's not ready to ascend to a higher consciousness that he needs to get to, as we all do in life, not to get too weird. But it's tough. Yeah. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought I just played it like he was afraid of heights.
Yeah. And in moments of extreme stress, like the adrenaline, he can do that, right? But he can't just do it on command. So that's why it works for me.
I always go back to why it's believable is the story is the story before the story. It's before Clark becomes Superman, before Lex becomes evil. So this is that story. It's not the story of him flying around and saving people like in the, and carrying people through the sky. And it's not, he hasn't gotten quite there. And if he does, then that becomes Lois and Superman or whatever the hell it was.
It's tough. Yeah. I think as a fan, you're looking at it, you're like, how is he fighting Doomsday or Zod or Brainiac? And eventually you just got to tell yourself, you know what? This is the Superman story just happening younger at this point. It can't be a prequel anymore when he's doing these things, right?
I've just watched recently the episode coming up, Aquaman, and you really just got to sit back and go, okay, this is a comic book. You just got to let it off its own hook and enjoy what you're watching, because that spirals out a little bit too.
Before we let you go, I just want to say, what is it you love about Smallville? What is it that makes you such a fan?
I was the same age as Clark on the show when the show came out. And so it was like immediately spoke to me. Like, I'm a freshman in high school. Clark is a freshman in high school, right? So immediately there's that. And you're kind of going through high school. And, that's why I love a lot of those early seasons of the show, because you're trying to figure out life. Clark's trying to figure out life. It's all just allegories for other things you're experiencing. And you can really relate to that. And I was a Superman fan already. So I'm like, this is like perfectly made for me. This is like exactly what I need to watch every week.
That makes sense.
And it was a great show, an exciting show. All the performances are great. You guys, A+ stuff for over the years. And because the show ran so long, and I think a lot of people feel this way, it became this like companion for like 10 years, right? 7 for some, but 10 for most of us, right, Tom? But and to have something that was always there, like it just became like a routine and like a so familiar, like a nice, safe comfort place. And then tuning in and hearing that somebody saved me every week, it was just it was great. And I think in the show having like some good moral messages as well. Oh, like, and there's your action adventure stuff. And there's like, hey, like this is a good message. Like for this episode, for example, right? It's like Clark doesn't have any powers, but he's still going to do the right thing. Right. And like he gets shot doing the right thing, even though he's a human. Right. And that ties back to like one of the early episodes, the one with Sean Ashmore, where he takes your powers. And he's like, what would you do if you had the power to do anything? And he's like, I'd stop people like you. And that's like the morality of Superman. That speaks to a lot of people. And so on a lot of levels, it's a lot of fun. Also the music. I mean, as a teenager at the time, watching it for the first time now, Michael, I'm sure you probably don't, you're like, what is this song here or there? But like, that was the soundtrack of my life, man. I was making burned CDs of all these songs of this Smallville episode. So all that stuff really stuck with me, and it really made it a big pillar of my life. Michael, you're wearing glasses right now.
Yes.
Tom, you're not wearing glasses. Something I really always wanted to ask you about being on Smallville was, did they ever ask you to wear glasses? Did you want to wear glasses like as Clark Kent at any point in time? Or were you like, I'm not doing that? Or was that just never a conversation? Because I think once a season, they kind of give you like 30 seconds here or there, right?
I forget what episode. I think I don't know if we're there yet. But Clark is in the Luthor mansion. He's wearing a trench coat. And he comes around the corner and he's wearing glasses and he's pushing the glasses up.
Yeah.
And I used my middle finger to do it. On purpose.
That's amazing. That's some
That's
good
season
stat.
7.
Yeah. And that was literally on purpose. No one even batted an eye on the day, but I knew what I was doing. I was
Of
like,
course
yeah.
you did. You're like, I am not Clark Kent yet.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, thank you so much. What's your handle?
You can find us at Always Hold On to Smallville. We're doing a podcast. We're going through each and every episode of the show. I'm starting season 10 coming up this calendar year. So as you guys are halfway through, I'm wrapping up. So it's exciting times. And yes, do you guys know where Always Hold On to Smallville came from? The phrase?
No.
Didn't Jonathan said it to Clark?
Yes, it's from the show. It's from the series finale. So I took it from that. You guys took it from me. We're all sharing. It's all great. So always hold on to Smallville.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Oh, what a treat. What a damn treat having Zach on here. It's time for the hotline. Here we go. Video patron privilege. Karen M. Let's get to it.
Hey guys, Karen Epplin from Management with the question for Season 5 Hidden. Tom, how do you think Clark explained to Lana how he suddenly appeared all disheveled with ripped clothes after being pronounced dead at the hospital? I'd love to know what he would have said. Thanks, bye.
We were just talking about that, Karen. We don't know.
I think it'd be a good old Smallville. I don't know what happened.
I think that's what he'd say. I don't know what happened to me. I just remember lying in the bed, and then the next thing you know, I was here.
I mean, Lana's been a witch and like traveled through time and stuff. She'd be like, okay, I get
You should
it.
say that. He goes, hey, you were a witch, so don't tell me about my business. Billy. Here's Bill. Old Billy.
Hey, it's Billy from LA calling about the episode Hidden. And my question is for Tom. Without spoiling things for Ryan, how long after you read this script and learned that someone Clark loves will die did you discover the identity of that character?
No idea. In fact, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, is it going to be Lana? Like, obviously, now that we talk about it, I know who it is. But during shooting, no.
I know who it is because they did it in Man of Steel. And
everybody kind of knows.
They killed
There's
Kevin.
Hey, my name is Matt calling from Sacramento. I have a question about Season 5, Episode 3, Hidden. If I'm not wrong, I think this is the first time Clark is shot with a regular bullet. Tom, can you explain what went into the prep for those special effects?
Yeah, they put a little blood patch with a little charge underneath it, and they hit a button, and then it goes, psh, and they don't always tell you exactly when it's going to happen, which is good because you can just react to it. And I remember trying to play more denial and surprise than pain, like not understanding that just happened, And then obviously,
was it painful at all?
It's not supposed to hurt. Usually, put something behind it. It feels like a little bit of a pinch sometimes. But most of my scripts I've been pretty lucky with. The funny thing for me is when they brought the stretcher and they put me on, I was too big for the stretcher. And I was like, don't you guys have bigger stretchers? And they're like, no, we don't.
Zach.
Is this Zach Moore?
I don't think it's
Hey,
Zach.
guys. It's Zach from South Florida. At the end of Season 5, Episode 3, Hidden, Clark walks up to Lana with his shredded up clothing from the explosion. Why did he run upstairs and, he could super speed upstairs and just change his clothes and look normal? Like, what is she going to think when she sees the explosion clothing? I don't know. Did you guys catch that too? This really bothered me. All right, thanks.
Yeah, it bothers everybody, but we let it go.
He should have taken a super shower, super speed shower.
He could have done it. He should have just went back to the bed in the hospital room.
Hey guys, my name is Nima from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. I was just wondering for Season 5, Episode 3, Hidden, why does no one seem to care that Chloe seems to have killed someone with a gun? Just seems to never be brought up again. Just wondered what you all thought. Thank you.
Yeah, you're not wrong,
nice day.
Zach. I think that people, they just kind of let things go because there's too much. too much explanation for too many things. It'd be a whole year, a whole season of explanations. And that's sort of what happens. You just kind of let them go. They'll figure themselves out subtextually. Things happen later that we don't see, and we just try to ignore them.
You know what I thought would have been cool now that I think about it is when Lionel goes in to talk to Lex, if Lex was at his computer and what you saw was actually the trajectory of the missile and like showing that Lex had some sort of access to military information, but not really knowing why the missile exploded.
I think that would have,
you know what I mean?
I think that would have made him even more bad. Like, just like enough is enough kind of thing. It's just like, he doesn't need involved because the next episode he's getting involved with these underwater animal killing fucking.
He's basically doing that next episode. He's with the military doing shit.
Oh, maybe
exactly.
That's right.
Natalie? Hi, this is Natalie from Michigan. Just wondering if you guys remember the final scene with Lex, with Lana and Lionel. I feel like this scene really hits to me that Lex has just lost all patience with basically the idea that I feel like most of the characters have been gaslighting him. No, you're crazy. This didn't happen. Or can't you see he's just normal? When in fact, Lex is getting so frustrated because he knows what he's seen. He knows he's not crazy. I feel like all the gaslighting has definitely pushed his character to where he is now.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that they've gaslighted him and lied and lied and lied. And he's like, am I crazy here? Your car went over the bridge. You know, I'm somehow alive. You know, all these things mysteriously happen. I hit my head and I wake up and all these things are done. Everybody is being, you're at every site where someone gets hit or you save somebody. It's like, come on. It's like the whole thing's just stupid. You just got to have to let it go and like, let him figure it out eventually. But he's kind of going, something's like, you know, I don't know, man. It's just, it is. It's like he looks stupid, but it's like, he's not. He's going to figure it all out and destroy everything. Here's Tammy.
Do we have to go back and rewatch the whole thing now just with like a different lens and just start feeling bad for Lex? Like this poor man has just been lied to his entire life.
Clark's the biggest liar in history. No wonder Lex is becoming bad. Son of a bitch. Here's Tammy. Jesus Christ.
Hi, Tom, Michael, and the Ryan-tist. It's Janine from Maryland calling about season 5, episode 3, Hidden. My question is for Tom. This episode, and namely the ending barn scene with Clark and Chloe, is my favorite of the series. Just the heaviness, the music, the chemistry, and both of your performances. I noted how Clark chose not to trust Lana with his secret, saying he couldn't expect her to react like Chloe did, which is a relationship red flag. Do you think he very much could have expected and hoped she would accept him for who he really is? Otherwise, what is their love based on? Sorry, Rosie, this is kind of another wordy one. Love you guys so much.
I think you're right. I think he should have told Lana. I think he could tell Lana at this point he really loves her and he should just come clean and everything would be good. You know,
I think you're right. Like I was almost waiting for Chloe to be like, Clark, just why don't you tell her? She's been a witch herself. She did
tell him
some
to.
Crazy stuff. Really tell him to.
Imagine when Lana finds out, she'll be pissed. She'll be like, everyone else but me knows this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lex doesn't.
That's why he won't tell her. That's why
he won't tell Lana. I mean, I know you can't tell too many people, but you know, because
Pete knows. Pete knows.
Amy,
Alicia knows.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey, this is Amy from West Virginia. There was one really good quote, and it was from Jarrell. Well, Lionel being Jarrell. It said, "Lessons we learn from pain make us the strongest." So my question would be is, what are some painful lessons that you've learned that made you stronger?
I've learned a lesson. I dated a girl a long time ago and I broke up with her thinking she would, you know, take me back and I just needed a little time. And she didn't take me back and I was devastated. And I learned that things that that you love, people that you love, you can't just assume they're going to be back if you let them go. So it was a big flaw. It was insecurity, and letting them go was the worst choice at that time in my life. And I felt like a failure, and I had so much pain that I thought, I'm never going to allow myself to do this again. I'm going to make sure that I don't want to be in this relationship. And it was really for other reasons, and it didn't work out. So you have to be careful what you wish for and really reevaluate things before you make a decision. And I think I didn't think carefully, and it affected me. So you have to I don't know. I think you have to really think about things and not just do it assuming like, oh yeah, they'll take me back, or oh yeah, I'll do this and everything will work out. And make sure your decision is the one you want to make. Don't make a decision based on
assumptions, for sure. Yeah.
So what about you guys? Anything?
Ryan?
I mean, that was the pretty deep one that I think we're all looking for.
I think listen, I mean, a lot of big mistakes. But I think more recently I've been thinking about trying when things don't go my way or painful situations. You said, where's the lesson in this? Like, what's the positive? What's the takeaway so I can grow from this? Because sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself, it doesn't work. Trust me, you know?
You're so right. I mean, there are times when, even on Smallville, where, you know, if I was going renegotiations and I was just bummed all the time. And I just didn't really have a lot of, I just felt like, you know, I was letting this thing kind of linger over me. And it wasn't anybody else. Nobody else could do it. Nobody else cared. And it was out of my control until it wasn't. So I needed to just live your best life until you get through it and not dwell.
It's bad for your health.
Bad for your health. Tamara from New Zealand. At the end of the episode, what was your strength holding up Christian, or was there like a stepladder? Because that hold felt like forever. It was so good and was a way to let go to the audience know that he had his powers back.
Even in watching the scene, I don't think I was holding her up. I think she was holding on to Clark. You know, there's a little difference there. You know, she's up there and she's grabbing, and it's not like Dirty Dancing where he has to lift her up in the air.
Thank God. All right, Rosenbaum ratings. We're going to start with Ryan.
1.5.
I'm going to go 1.5.
I'm going to go 1.5 only because of like Lionel and like the bigger arc of the Superman story here. I don't think this was a tough one for me to like get into and start believing in.
Death save count. 5 dead. Gabriel killed his father, 2 guards, and Clark. Chloe killed Gabriel, and Gabriel ultimately killed his nanny, which is terrible. But that doesn't count. Really horrible story. I hated hearing that. 1 save. Jesus. Clark saved Smallville. I know. I went there. Through 3 episodes, 15 dead, 6 saved. Series 152 dead, 153 saved. Ryan's favorite scene. You wrote him down, Ryan?
I sure did.
All right, baby.
I know what it is.
Right, scene 1, British Lionel.
Oh.
Scene 2, stopping the missile.
Oh.
And scene 3, Lana and Clark embrace.
I'm going to go missile.
Missile.
We're both right.
How could it not
missile.
be? I mentioned earlier, I was so tickled by John getting to do a British accent. I could just imagine him practicing in his trailer. But that's all I could. I was like, but then the missile, it was just like the effects were like literally out of this world.
Out of this world for a TV
for
show.
A television show
20 years ago.
When he went to mother fucking space.
Nobody's doing that now.
That was like, oh my God.
Mind-bending.
Uh-huh.
I'm really impressed with Smallville on that.
I mean, they didn't do that kind of stuff on Arrow or Supernatural
Arrow couldn't fly. Any final thoughts? That's it that's it for the episode. Stick around next week as we come on Barbie. Wait, come on Barbie. Let's go party and talk about season 5, episode 3, Aqua. Let's take the discussion online. Let us know your thoughts on the episode over on our socials at Talkville Podcast or Talkville Pod. I didn't mean to say that, but it kind of came out. No pun intended. Show support for the podcast. Please, 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 by joining patreon.com/Talkville, giving back to the show. Imagine it as a streaming service. If you throw a few bucks, it helps the show. And if you want more info like merch and from the show, our hotline number, you can find all that in description or my link tree on my Instagram at @Michael_Rosenbaum for all that stuff.
And remember, folks, always hold on to Smallville.
Now it's time for our shout outs to our top tier patrons who support this show, and we love you. Patreon.com/Talkville. Thanks for supporting this podcast. Please support us and get your name shouted out, and along with other treats as well. Let's do it. Leanne P, Raj C, Santiago M, Thomas, Tom Turner, Shane W, Sophie M, Betsy D, Abby P, Ray H, Karen Apple M, 99 More, Lalani N, Brett G, Always Hold On to Smallville, Esteban G, Charlie T, Garrett W, Bob K, Tom N, Jason W, Osama A, Glenda W, Lana rhymes with Banana W, Nancy D, Brian G, YVR Grips, Anna M, Amanda R, Teddy 127, Michael P, Ryan R, Jordan M. Jesus.
Randy B. I'm just trying to be funny. Randy B, Craig G, Jor-El, Heather and Greg. I made Talkville say butts. Brian H, Eric K, Kristen B, Darth Achilles, Finky. Early is on time. Mrs. Clark Kent. Who's that? Janet E, Deadvid, General Zod, Theodore, Jam and J, Doug R, Carlos C, Tommy, Z-Boston 68, Ken, you know that Limerick guy, Corey L, Mr. Home Arcade, Jesse C, Claire M, D, Brown, Karen Era M, Jules M, Eldon Supremo, Leslie V, Brian P, McBirch, Ginger Moose. Please remember Janice from North Carolina. Okay. Christoph S, Michelle M, Amanda Lynn. Is that the one that you play?
No.
Jessica B,
Amanda
Sebastian
Lynn.
F, Wolfie in the house. Deck Flando, Matthew and Lincoln B, Breyer, Charlene A, The Coopers, Marion Louise L, C, G O, Cindy C, and Nikki L.
Shannon, Fo, Fannin, Tina E, Matt, Rick, Jen T. Don't put them there. Just put them behind it.
Type A in the house tonight.
Yeah, I don't want papers everywhere. Tina E, Matt, Rick, Jen T, Randy S, Cassie B, Brad A, Felicia R, Danny Mo, Maribel, JS, Mary K, Rachel D, Stephen A, Danger. When you're rich, you aren't crazy, you're eccentric. Rosenbaum fan, Sammy Sharman, Carrie Ann, the Alexander Castle, Daryl E, Spicy Chicken, Jenny B76, Anna B, Monica T, Jeffrey K, Pip Kenobi, Katja C, previously on Smallville, Matt C, Keith B, Major Paradox, Cookie K, Justin Patron, Saint of Smallville, Libertaria, Danny Z from Cleveland, Biagio C, Cal L 38, Felicia B, Lady J, The Salty Ham, Murphy C, David L, Madison H, Mika J, Tori H, JD Turkleton, Kelowna A, Zeb R, Z, Wicked Stepdad, My Pups, Lex, Shelby, Kara, Natalia, Dr. Jace EA.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to.
That was tough.
There's some big ones in there.
That was tough.
Susie Q, Red Blue Blur 8, DRG, Dr. G. Do I have to say underscore?
No.
Okay. My Paradoxical Me, Dominic D, Brandon C, Ned L, Ridlurk, Jenny Lee.
Ridlurk. You're right.
All right. Per 6, Panna G, Kurgan K.
Go Hank R.
Yeah.
Go Hanker.
Good one. And Naaman L.
Or Nominal. We love you guys. Thanks so much for the support. If we messed up your name, we'll try to get it right. But how are we going to know unless you call in? We love you. Be good to yourself. See ya.